Josh today not to steal any of your boards.
Oh, shit.
You caught me looking at him.
Oh, no.
You know, when
How long it takes
me to hear it. You use it like 3 times a year, you know. I didn't even.
The house is on fire. I'm good.
I wasn't gonna say it was Josh, but it was coincidence. It was
I definitely knew it wasn't me.
Hey, Mike, are you on the phone? Hey, Mike, are you on the phone?
Yep, Michael.
All right. We'll get started here in a couple of minutes. Just double checking.
Roger.
Looks like it might be a quick one. You just jinxed it. I know, I should have said nothing. I mean, Rick,
Go about.
30, this definitely go.
Meeting's closed.
Does that match the open meetings act?
I don't want to
Didn't talk about it. Didn't call it.
probably close enough.
Oh, man. I gotta find that vehicle. Every time I'm off duty, I hear that. Drives me nuts. Oh, a car. Well, that's $110 ticket. That's like a high deal.
How?
Excessive noise.
Just go step up on the doorstep there, you probably see it.
The last one I wrote was William Bennett. Before he left town.
Now I know what not to put in my cup. How was your week?
It was excellent. Been a long week.
Mike's online. Sean-
All right,
and
shall
Sean-
call this meeting to order, 6:30. Roll call vote, please.
Mary Casey Smith.
Here.
Janice Trojan. Here. Chanel McKinley.
Here.
Josh Bennett.
Here.
Millie Schoonover.
Here.
Michael Cantnich.
Here.
Motion to approve consent agenda as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Moving on to hearing from the public.
Mr. Mayor, there's a couple of items. Kelsey put copies in front of your places. A couple of letters regarding the Cemetery Island Trail access permit. And then email from Andy Deering giving an update to the council on the steelhead issue that he brought to the council a while back. So they're a copy of those 3 letters in front of you.
Does anybody have any comments from the public today? Everybody's eager to get out to that sunshine. Nice when it's nice out. All right, moving on to reports from city officials. I've been being involved as much as I can be. It's a busy time of year for everybody, so have any questions for me? I'm here. All right, moving on to administrator report.
Submitted a written report. I just want to thank the budget committee members. We had a great meeting Tuesday night, and looking forward to it. We are on schedule, on the school district schedule to meet with the school board on April 9th. And I'm sorry, but that suddenly escapes me what the date is, or what day of the week that is.
Wednesday.
Wednesday, April 9th, 6 p.m. at the high school, and they do have a Zoom link. So if you want to call into it, you can. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. This is kind of a dual question. It's April. I was wondering where our volunteer form for the rec department is.
We haven't quite gotten to it yet, which is the last council meeting when we talked to it, I said it probably likely would be May.
Okay,
I
I
know
thought
that
we
we
had a
had-
directive to be done in over by April. And not May.
I don't recall that.
I saw that they showed up. I didn't know if they missed the public comment. I don't know if they wanted to comment.
Absolutely. All right. Would you guys like to comment in the public comment?
Yeah, thank you, Mr.
Mary?
Mayor. Did you guys get that handout of my letter that I submitted? Okay, I just came to, talk on that. It was concerning seeing, that the cemetery trail is gonna be an excursion for tourists. I recall about a year ago, when, the cruise line and Cloac didn't wanna, communicate with the city about, any excursions that we might have in Craig. I remember you saying something along the lines of, personally, if your family utilizes that trail, why would you want tourists there? So it's sad to see that that's gonna be used for tourists. I'm just wondering, why the change?
The last council meeting, it was a long discussion, and the council approved to utilize the trail for a set lease. And that is basically that's basically what happened. I'm not a voting member because I literally felt that we needed to be compensated more in the discussion and more community involvement. It was clear that there were community members who were concerned about the trail, but the council did decide to move forward with the access lease with the cruise ships. I'm assuming it's going to be a trial period this year. Next year, it's going to be a stampede. They're going to have 60 ships potentially. We're looking at probably 1,300 passengers this year walking on the trail. And with the concerns, legitimate concerns of this being our cemetery and people walking through our cemetery, I have no problem pulling that lease if people start to wander or we get strays. That's why we have guided tours. I wouldn't really promote people, allowing people down there coming off of the boats if they weren't guided. I felt we left a lot on the table with them, and I guess this is a beginning of to see how things are going to go. But I do appreciate your letter, and I wish we would get more community input from people like you and the few other people that did, because when we get 4 or 5 people come in for the community, and then a decision be made, and then, we start getting letters and comments, it's helpful for people to attend the meetings. That's why I asked for these access agreements with these entities to go to the public, and so they have an opportunity to speak and voice their opinion.
Mr. Mayor, something that you didn't add to, just to point out to the public that it is only a small access permit. It's only for a couple of months and we don't have to renew it. So,
Trial run.
Now, they didn't agree to it. Aren't we still in negotiation?
No, they agreed to it. It's already on their website.
They're selling it.
They're selling it right now.
Yeah, council approved it. I signed it this week and sent it off to Coak Island Ventures, and they've countersigned it, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice seeing you.
You too. See you at Monday.
Yes, sir.
All right, moving on. Anybody have any more questions for the administrator, Brian? Okay, moving on to Kimber.
Kimber's household's been fighting this flu bug, so I think it's Kyle right now that's down and out, so she's excused tonight, but I'd be happy to try and answer any questions. I'm very busy.
Mr. Mayor, I did have one question for Kimber, and looks like you're up, Brian, on this one.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
We're in, let's just call it March is over. Where is the location of the January, February, March, 3 payments of the previous daycare lease located in the, should be $3,000 payments. Where is that located in her report?
It's likely coded under miscellaneous revenue. I'd have to ask her for sure where it's been coded, but those kinds of payments that aren't part of a larger projected revenue generally get coded as miscellaneous revenue.
Okay, and you don't know if we're up to date?
Yes, we are.
We are up to date. Okay, it's miscellaneous revenue.
I'll say Kimber's been doing a good job, great job. We've been busy. This time of year is always crazy. Moving on to Clerk Pro Temp.
I submitted a written report, and I did have one thing to add. Mary was just here. She did mention to me that her leave ends April 11th, so she should probably be back April 14th.
And the administrative assistant, I was like, okay, we got a Clerk Pro Temp. Any questions for Kelsey? All right, moving on to City Planner.
I wanted to apologize. I was out sick, so I was not able to submit the report. And I'll be out of the office from April 12th. I know it's open weekend until the 22nd for a grant up in Anchorage and spend the holiday with my family. I will be attending the next council meeting on the phone. I'll have quite a few items on that meeting agenda, and I submitted a memo about track D proposals. We did select a candidate. So you should have that in there. And you got any?
That should be in front of you as well, and we'll get to that. It's under new business. It's an item under new business.
I know you've been busy, good job, Ivy. Crazy time of year. And you came into a whole lot of work when you started.
Yeah.
Any questions for Ivy? All right, moving on to Vanessa, EMS Fire Coordinator.
Vanessa, are you on the phone? Be happy to try and answer any questions.
There are no questions for Vanessa? Moving on to Hans.
Mr. Mayor, I submitted a written report. I'd like to just add a couple things if I could. The boardwalk is decked. The next step is gonna be to add railings. We're gonna get going on that tomorrow. The benches, we do have plans. If anyone asks, the benches will be replaced. We're just gonna try to get it opened up and get the railings on first. The other good news is we've made a deal with the Coak Public Works Director, and they're going to take a couple derelict boats for us at the landfill at a really, really reasonable price. So we're happy for their cooperation, and we've kind of been trying to work on this for a couple of years, and the price was always sky high, and they came back and were more than reasonable this time, and so that'll free up some space in the boatyard, and then I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
One little easy one. All the people are coming up to me and asking how come if the budget for the harbor so tight, how come you guys have to do all the work and the cost of the boardwalk comes out of the harbor?
Would you like me to address that? I answered this
Oh, sure.
question a couple of times
Okay.
already. You want me to?
Sure.
The harbor this year is projected to be subsidized by $158,000 out of the general fund. So a lot of the cannery work is traditionally part of the harbor department's duties, but in terms of whether or not we're taking money away from the harbor users, I think until we close that deficit, it's fair to use harbor staff for any number of general fund activities.
Thank you.
Any more questions for
We're
Hans?
on a roll.
We are. No, I see Millie. She's smiling. All right, thanks. Thank you, Hans. Moving on to Chief.
Submitted a written report. Had two things. I get to go through a DOC Department of Corrections audit this month, so that'll be fun. It's been a few years because of COVID. And also, I might run two separate drug accounts, and so the feds will be coming down to audit that as well. Other than that, definitely picking up both here and Kawak. I've been texting with Kimber, and Kawak's 4 months behind on the dispatch contract, and they have not paid for any of the coverage that we're doing for February. March, I think only went out on Monday or Tuesday for billing, so I can't ding them for that. But according to Kimber, if you round it up, they're 23,000 behind.
So the boats are free.
And we still don't even have a signed agreement as far as the coverage that we're giving them, because we cover for 48 hours. And yeah, Kawak is providing to be difficult.
Yes, but I had a discussion a little bit prior to that, and at what point in time do we, start looking at collections?
In our current agreement, we signed, it was either 2 or 3 year, but I can't remember, but it is up at June 30 or 31st of this year, the current agreement that we have. And I have no idea where they're at as far as the police chief. We're trying to do anything with their department. Last I heard, probably 3 weeks ago, was they had 2 people, they were gonna make an offer, and nothing. And I haven't been able to reach out, talk to Anna. I talked with Sergeant Jensen earlier today. He hasn't been able to reach her either. And so, there's a lot of stuff way up in the air.
I'd probably request trying to have a sit down with Anna, meeting the mayor sometime soon.
Yeah, I'll reach out again. I had a lunch meeting scheduled last week that I got flown off for, and it's been hard to get a hold of her since. So
I'll reach out, see if the mayor has time to sit down.
I have a whole list of stuff to discuss if that's.
Any questions for the chief? All right. Thank you, RJ. Moving on to Oliver.
Submitted a written report for Public Works and for facilities. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Mr. Mayor, man,
Yes, sir.
Fun Police is back. Sewer roof, we extended it in February, this fall. We gave them extra $20,000. We were talking then that the spring would be their start date. Tyler Rental has none of their names on the board. And when they were coming this fall, their name was all over the board.
Sure.
What's the update with Wilderness? I believe it's Wilderness, correct?
No, it's Building Specialties Inc. It's the name of the company.
Okay.
Building Specialties Inc. I got an email about 3 days ago requesting an update, just so we could plan around it. The latest update that I had was that the material was still 3 weeks out, an additional 2 weeks to deliver to the site. And so they would likely be here in May, like we discussed. I've said that a couple of times.
Okay.
So maybe that slips into June, but that is the goal right there is.
So they're definitely working by July and completed September.
In the weather window, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the goal. And so I've answered this question a lot. And, I wouldn't say anybody's happy with the contractor, you know, with the service that we've got. And I guess what I would offer is, you know, if I don't get something pretty substantial in the next 2 weeks, you know, a committed date, Brian and I might talk about reposting the bid. You know, but we would have time right now if we did it, but, I'm fairly certain that they'll pull through, you know, it's a good job for them. But yeah, I wish I had a better answer for you.
Word on the street is they're either defunct or close to defunct, and winter is their projected time if they're not defunct.
What I've heard is that they, from both the contact that I deal with and his father, who's the owner of the company, is they landed a large job in Homer at the end of last year in their hometown. And, everything from, basically it's a ground up rebuild of a large historic structure that's a restaurant and a casino, and that's what I heard. I don't know any of that to be true, but that was their reasoning, is they took that job because they couldn't get the materials, you know, in a timely fashion, and so they're probably trying to wrap that up. But I had not heard anything about them being defunct. They're bonded and insured, and, you know, so I mean, on that side, we're good. They got halfway through the job and, you know, fell apart. They bonded the job, so.
Thank you.
Except for $200,000 more than their contract. So.
Another, foam panel, right?
Yeah, 5.5 inch foam panels.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. Thanks for giving it to it. Any more questions on all?
I only have one thing to add, since we're beating up Cloac, we're covering garbage for them this week too. So, I don't mean to make fun, it's just, you know, you should know, this body should know that we're helping them out. They're in a bad spot, so we're helping them out. Brian has requested that I bill them for that time, so we're happy to do that.
Charge of co-op property tax. No, appreciate it. All right, we don't have to talk about small toilets no more, so it's always a good day. All right, no more questions for Oliver, thank you. We'll enjoy the sunshine. Moving on to the aquatic center. Recreation, there we go.
I submitted a written report, and things are moving along really well. And I want to thank Oliver's team for all their help moving things to the daycare. We're getting set up in there and being pretty busy, and a big shout out to Cheryl and Kat, who've been helping coordinate the whole Whale Fest this week, and appreciate all your support. They wanted to thank you guys for supporting the Whale Fest being in the city of Craig, so it's a great weekend.
Thank you. Moving on to the aquatic center.
Mandy is traveling with the swim team too.
All right. Stephanie.
She's traveling.
Yeah. We just started some vacation time.
All right, perfect. Moving on to consideration of resolution and ordinances. Resolution 25-05 supporting Southeast Conference CETS report.
Mr. Mayor, move to adopt resolution 2505.
Second.
Open for discussion.
I'm trying to answer questions. I'm familiar with the process, but this is just a request from Robert Venables at Southeast Conference.
I thought they did a great job.
So, yeah, it's a great document. It's a good
Lots of
process.
pictures for me.
Lots of pictures.
Grass. I had to look at that dam about 100 times. Man, look at that, all that water. Anybody have any comments? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on to ordinance 789, attending title 20.04, 130. Sorry about that, Mr. Campnich. Conflict of interest.
I move to adopt ordinance 789, amending the city of Craig's conflict of interest code.
Second.
Open for discussion. Hearing no discussion, or we have a roll call vote, please?
Josh Bennett,
Yes.
Amelia Schoonover,
Yes.
Janice Trojan,
Yes.
Chanel McKinley,
Yes.
Mike Cavendish. What was that?
Sorry, Mike, you cut out a little bit.
Yep.
Thank you.
Council. Moving on to new business, assessment fieldwork letter.
Don't need any action from the council on this item tonight. Like it or love it, this is the result of the assessor's field work. So this, if you read through the letter, almost all land and improvement types went up this year, some significantly. Mobile homes, I think, was a 30% increase in values. Residential improvements, residential land, and commercial land all also went up based on sale data. So that number is reflected in the property tax assessment roll for this year, and those assessment notices have gone out to the public. Those went out at the beginning of this week, and so residents have 30 days to appeal their property tax valuations, and then the council will hear this again in May if there are any appeals left over. Normally, the assessors are able to resolve all of the appeals before it comes back to the council after the deadline. I mentioned in the memo that we don't have any control over values, right? That's the assessor is independent in establishing the values based on their field work and calculations. The council's opportunity to change those tax amounts for the public is contained in the mill rate, which the council will set in May as well. I'll try to answer any questions.
When everybody gets these letters in the community in the mail and they see how much their increase is gonna come up, the letter does have the appraiser's number and contact information, because there's nothing we can do about it. So, I already tried. All right. More discussion on assessment fieldwork letter? Okay, moving on to donation policy discussion. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, am I coming through okay?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. Just a comment, it's an observation on the trailer, that month. You know, as far as I'm aware of, we haven't had a new trailer come to Craig in a long time. And so what that indicates to me is that these very mostly old trailers that are in poor condition, probably, you know, to see them go up like that, what that indicates to me, and I think this is something we all know, is we really have a housing deficit. And so it's, you know, it's just an observation that, you know, that really speaks to the need to look for, you know, ways to improve our housing opportunities certainly for the middle and lower end citizens of the community.
Yes, absolutely. Hopefully we can find some land to get some more developments going.
I know this is kind of off subject, Mayor, but where is Willow Court? 103 Willow Court.
Willow Court is up off of Ptarmigan Court.
That's the left, the new development? Okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the name of the street?
Yeah, the first cul-de-sac on the left, behind the community garden.
Mr. Mayor, at one point in time when Melanie Bergeron and then JS wanted to lease quite a bit of that land. We talked about subdividing it, and I think we should probably keep that on the burner, not let it go away.
And that project still is. The first step that the council approved and appropriated money for was to have an environmental survey and report done. And that's actually on the agenda tonight
Okay.
for approval of a contract, to have the contractor start working on that. So it's probably still a year or year and a half out, but the next step, once we have the environmental survey done, is to start working on a master development plan and subdivision. We have not dropped that project.
Okay, good, thanks.
And it just closed March 24th or something like that for the RFP, so I'll be able to get some boots on the ground. Perfect time of year for it. And hopefully they can show up when it's really dry out, so it's not considered all wetlands. Okay, any more information on the assessment fieldwork letter? Hearing none, we'll move on to donation policy discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt the City of Craig donation policy for nonprofits and school activities.
Second.
Open for discussion. I think it's a good policy to get the young youth to help us out in exchange for some donations, and we still have the discrepancy if we donate like we always have. So just kind of puts an incentive plan for kids in the school and other people out there to volunteer to help us out, which we help them out. There's no more discussion. We'll go to voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right. Moving on to FY26 budget committee scheduling.
Mr. Mayor, again, there's no action required on this item. I just want to make sure and include a copy of the schedule for the rest of the budget committee meetings.
We're good, it's only one page.
Only one page.
I take a picture of it.
Does it fit on your screen?
I just hook up my calendar to this one.
I missed the first meeting because I had another meeting.
That's all right.
Missed
You
a
were
lot.
very missed, Millie.
Oh, I bet.
No, it went really well. We're glad to have, everybody who's able to attend.
Yeah, that was a great meeting.
Yeah. Looking forward to 9 more. All right. Moving on to FY26 Port St. Nick roadwork plan.
Move to approve the FY 26 draft of Port St. Nick's road work plan.
Second.
Open for discussion. Done a great job on this, Oliver.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
You haven't received any public comments?
I have not heard of one.
Yeah.
Well, today was the day.
Yeah, this has been advertised for public comment for the last 30 days.
All right.
It's down to the day.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to Quogue Island Ventures Cannery Point Excursion Access Point.
Move to approve the access permit with Quolock Island Ventures to allow excursions on the Craig Cannery site.
Second.
Open for discussion?
I believe Jennifer was going to call in tonight. She may be on the phone. You have questions for Quogue Island Ventures. This is very close to the same discussion that we had the last meeting about the Graveyard Trail. So they're looking at this excursion would generally be up to 15 or 18 people per excursions. I think there are fewer excursions per day planned. They would bring them over to the cannery property by Jeep. Most of the terms are similar to the Graveyard Island Trail. Sorry, go ahead, Jennifer.
Yes, I'm just saying I'm here to answer any questions, and yes, there'd be 2 to 3 departures per day, so not as frequent as the hike.
Chanel and Jen, did you guys made a motion to set, you guys have a question? Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yeah.
Sorry. Jennifer, is there something similar to this offered in Huna?
No, not really. Well, we offer a Jeep tour in Huna, but so in that regard, it is similar.
Okay.
In the work of the historic cannery, that's a little bit different.
Okay, so you offer a Jeep excursion in Huna. What's your rate for Huna? What are they charging you? Or what do you sell that at? 2 questions, loaded questions.
Well, we provide the cruise lines the net rate, and then they sell it at various costs.
Great answer here. Okay.
I mean,
No, I understand.
I,
I just, as from my community and looking the outlook that Huna Totem shareholders, they have received 0 from the tourism industry. So when we see 100, that's not exactly true?
No, Huna Totem shareholders receive dividends every year from profit received from the corporation.
Profit sharing. Okay.
And you guys employ pretty much everybody in, like, school kids in Huna? How long is it different?
Yeah, if we employ anyone who is willing to work, basically, in Huna. And yeah, I don't remember the number off the top of my head. It's been a few years since I worked there exactly, but it was there. 75% of the workforce is local. 70% of that is our shareholders of the corporation. Also, the city of Huna receives significant revenue in sales tax, and other funds as well related to tourism.
Mr. Mayor, I move to amend the attached access permit includes $400 per excursion fee from 125.
I hear a second.
Second.
Open for discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Mike has to do the split. Oh, he probably didn't hear it either.
Mike, so the Josh has moved to amend the cost of the access permit to $400 per excursion. So it's currently being voted on.
Can I say something?
I did say, on the negative,
Okay, all right, motion dies. All righty.
That takes us back to the original motion.
Back to the original
For
motion.
access permit.
Josh, were you hoping that if we did 400 per day, that they would drop the excursion?
I'm hoping that if I was offering an excursion and I had to buy Jeeps to get down there, that the price would be whatever we said.
How long are you guys gonna be down in the downtown part of Craig on this excursion?
Yeah, thank you. With the schedule, the tentative schedule I put together is about 40 minutes for a walk along the boardwalk, and then allowing about 20 minutes for shopping in the area.
Yeah, this is, hopefully in the future we'll be able to get the people into the stores and being able to, you know, hit the restaurants and so on and so forth, so that would be a big benefit. Ivy, did you have a comment?
Yes, online for IC State and Huna Totem, they charge $219.60 for adults and $178.81 for children, 0 to 12. And that is accessible online.
Yes, 125, so.
So I will say cruise lines generally at least double the net rate that we provide them. So our net rate is less than what you'll see on the cruise lines website by half at least.
So as the motion stands, we would be going with the lower rates.
The motion stands would be going to 125 per approved excursion with a maximum of 20 passengers per approved
Unless we
excursion.
change, amend it. My
What's that?
motion to amend it to $300 per excursion.
Do we have a second? All right. Hearing none. All right.
Yes, sir.
Did you have something to say, Mike? Okay, we will,
Question,
Question?
how many excursions a day are looking at? I'm not, maybe I'm missing it, but I don't understand that in this resolution.
2 to 3.
Yeah, it varies by the amount of time the ships are in port, so it's a 2.5 hour port total, and then we give 30 minutes between each departure at the port to clean the jeeps, etc. So depending on the port times, it's between 2 to 3 departures per day.
Okay, thank you.
all right. Do a roll call vote.
Josh Bennett,
No.
Chanel McKinley,
Yes.
Janice Jordan,
Yes.
Amelia Schoonover,
Yes.
Mike Kempnich,
Yes.
Motion passes 41, Mr. Moore.
Okay, moving on to track D, environmental survey and report, RFP.
I did put in a memo. We had 2 proposals. One from P&D Engineering and the other from BEM Systems. P&D ultimately became the one that we chose based off of our scoring rubric. And I do have those proposals and scoring rubrics available if you would like to review them. I can send them to your email if you want to. We're just working on getting to the next process.
Pretty much just formal, no decisions to be made here.
Actually, there is on the original memo in the,
Recommend staff to execute the contract documents and proceed with the P&D engineering and negotiations.
Second.
You might not have it.
It's on the
released
paper.
today.
Oh, it's on, okay, I read the whole packet,
Yeah,
I've seen that we were still in negotiations,
Yeah.
are still scoring the Thank you, Josh, yeah, I was like,
Yeah, I did say the Chanel's
not
looking down, I was all.
yeah. No, I did, we were
Where are you
still
making
scoring
those
the,
up from?
well, perfect, yeah, I
It's
totally
not
agree.
uncommon when we're working on these proposals that we put something in the council packet depending on how the deadline falls and the packet preparation.
Yeah, yeah,
So-
no, yeah.
Anyway, that is the recommendation to,
Mr. Mayor, may I? Only thing I would ask is, you guys are gonna do negotiations with, this is all great, this is good stuff. Could we have their on-site surveying done before fall? Would that?
the project,
June 30th.
yeah, the project schedule
Okay.
is that they'll be
Okay.
complete by June
Good.
30th.
We just don't need that hydrated season.
Yeah, and they're out of Juneau, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're used to southeast.
Yeah, they're
And they
planning,
have done the Craig Walk bike path right
Yeah.
across the way, so.
Yeah. those are paving for-
they may bleed over into July or August with some of the final deliverables, but our plan, the schedule right now is to have all of the field work done by June 30th.
All right.
A roll call vote would be great, Mr. Mayor. The
Roll
money's
call
been
vote.
appropriated, but since we're
Any more
awarded the
discussion
contract.
on the PND awardance of the RFP for track B? Okay, roll call vote.
Millie Schoonover,
Yes.
Janice Trojan,
Yes.
Josh Bennett,
Yes.
Chanel McKinley,
Yes.
Mike Cantonich,
Yes.
I guess the only other thing that we were given was a letter from the Craig High School looking for donation again for the,
I could put that under new business for the next meeting.
Put that under new business?
Yeah. I included it in letters and comments that we got late, but
no, okay.
I'm happy to put that under new business for correspondence for the next meeting. If council wants to go and talk.
Council comment?
Mr. Mayor, I was approached by a couple of elders asking why we don't have more benches throughout town. They're in their 80s, they're local, and they like to get out and walk. They pretty much have to hang on to each other because of a balance issue, and they really can't do it because our benches, we don't have that many benches throughout town, but with the tourists coming, I see where we're going to need benches, and we really need signs. Like a sign right down here showing where the library is, where power is, where the fire station is, where the city office is. I mean, we live here, so we know where everything is, but, you know, now that we're getting into the tourists, we need to beef things up for our community.
Yeah, I think, what did they say? A couple meetings back, about 4, we were talking about city map, a pamphlet of a map. I mean, you're right, there's what, 2 benches, one at Ruth Ann's Hotel and one way down at the school.
There is, I think there was a walking map that
Yeah.
Gretchen did last summer, I believe.
Yes, when you first walk into the door here in the city hall, they actually have the walking maps from last year. We
Yeah,
have a whole big brochure of them.
the
think
weed
Claw
store
Island-
printed some off and then stapled their card on it.
I think that's a great idea.
I think Cloac Island Ventures is also working on a map that they'll mass hand out to their passengers that come on the ship.
Would we propose like year-round benches or some benches that we could?
If they use the phone, you know.
Year-round. And I was wondering if you could try and see if we can get some businesses to donate it like they did on the garbage cans. If you got, I know Trojan's done it, if it's not too crazy, would afford one bench, maybe some other businesses, you know, could have a little placard donated by blah, blah, blah. That just, because that way it's free.
It's a great idea.
Does the high school have a wood shop?
And there you go.
They do, but they do not use it. They got a brand new facility. They do not have a teacher.
I know a guy.
That's the donation. Mr. Mayor, I do have a couple of comments. I just totally lost them, but I'm not, just so you guys know, against tourism. If we have seen one thing, the tourism industry might be our saving grace as the economy dwindles here, as it has done great things for Sitka and Juneau. They're trying to figure out their time, to no Sundays, no Saturdays, but there is income there if we can figure out a way to generate our own excursions. But getting back to, I had a couple comments from the community where staff brings their personal pets to work and in the buildings, in the vehicles. That was one thing. I don't know if that's in the employment handbook, but maybe it should be addressed that personal animals either stay out of the buildings, vehicles, etc. Maybe no kids. I don't know which department it is, but we have everything going on in our community. I think that was it. Oh, that's it. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I haven't personally seen the pets, but, at times that there's no daycare here. There are times that we do allow, staff to bring their children, and it's, they're well behaved, but I haven't personally seen any of the pets or dealt with that at all, so.
It happens occasionally. There's no hard prohibition in our personnel rules. So generally, it's kind of handled on a case-by-case basis, and it happens occasionally.
Mr. Mayor, can I just, and not for discussion, just, I'm real passionate about recycling. And just for the budget department, in the old days, you could recycle glass. Trash was 16 cents a pound, glass was a penny a pound. They canceled it because people kept throwing trash in the glass. But I was just wondering if Cool would entertain doing that. Glass is a nerd thing. Just a thought for the budget people. We don't have to talk about recycling tonight.
Kasan has a glass crusher. They crush the glass, and then they're allowed to throw it in the landfill. They had a grant for it. We got a little cone crusher. But I see containers of aluminum cans for the last 5 years sitting in places that have not left the site. So I've encouraged, you had a young man, Alice Nelson, came to me and discussed recycling, and I told him, well, you guys figure out what it's going to cost you to get that container, what it's going to fill the container up full of aluminum, and so on and so forth, and then ship it out and see if it pays for itself, because he's a high school student who's doing trying to do something for the environment. And I was wondering about the landfill here, and I explained to him that the cost of shipping, and a lot of times even, lower 48s, depending on what's being shipped out, still go to landfills. So recycling is something, unfortunately, if you purchased anything from AML lately and you have something shipped up or have something shipped up on the barges, it's outrageous. So.
I think years ago, AML used to occasionally allow a deadhead container with aluminum cans when, it was some organization like PTSA or something collecting them. I found out years ago, unfortunately, the glass recycling here was not. The landfill wouldn't take whole glass as inert material, and we didn't have facilities to crush it. So even though it was separated at one point, collected separately, it ended up in the same trash stream at the same price. So we've not ever been able to quite crack that. Shipping to complete recycling and shipping stuff out I don't think has ever penciled out with the transportation costs without AML or Sampson donating trips out.
Yeah, the co-op basketball team, they do it once a year. Doug Eanshaw assists them, and they do aluminum and they'll get old work skiff, stuff like that, and they do it once a year for the basketball team. But besides that, and then Terry Mackey, he used to, get copper and everything else for the kids and as well, so.
And I'll talk to Oliver and see if there's a way, while he's on good terms with the co-op dump folks, if there is a way that we can, I've always thought that if we can stream the glass and get it into the co-op landfill as inert material, it's not recycling, but at least have a cheaper disposal rate.
And it's cheaper for the city of Craig.
Yeah, that would be the difference. We already have a number of things that are inert that we dump at a much, much lower tipping fee than the regular garbage stream.
All right. More comments?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
There was a company in Anchorage for a while that was trying to crush glass and using it for road maintenance, sand.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
nice.
And it pulverizes it down to nothing by the
Yeah, no,
end of
those-
the winter season, it's gone, but.
DEC requires you to bury it 3 feet in your fill, so like if you're doing disposal sites and doing big excavations, put them on disposal sites, you're allowed to put the glass in there as fill.